Rocker Jazz. Rocker Jazz.
Wow, check out all the guitars there. I see
Oh
just
no,
the
it's
heads.
crazy. Yeah,
Oh wow, that's not
yeah,
a
yeah.
nice angle. So it's like I was like,
It's every corner.
man,
I'm surrounded by guitars.
that's beautiful. It's beautiful. But thanks so much for taking the time.
My pleasure.
I've been listening to your music for such a long time since In a Trance came out, which is
Oh, wow.
that's a long time ago.
That's right. That's right.
But I first wanted to ask you like about the latest HH. I know you probably talked about it a little, but you know you played with Herbie so much. But I love what you did because it's a solo guitar record, and you
Yeah,
play
thank
seven
you.
string as well. And you know I play six string, and every time I touch the seven string, that seventh string somehow I have problems you know incorporating it in the arpeggios, in the scales, in improvisations. And I wanted to ask you how did you start playing seven, and how did you approach it? Like
Yeah, well, I'm still learning from it because I guess I play longer six string or seven string.
yeah,
But um I was a bass player at the beginning actually.
really,
So
I didn't know that. Wow.
yeah, so I mean in Africa, so I always, you know, always have my foot in the bass territory, and most of my compositions are based on bass lines
Yeah,
and stuff like that. So bass always been big part of me basically. So yeah, that's the first reason I wanted to play seven string. But the other reason was to extend the range of the instrument, um, so I
yeah,
can get something close to piano instead of just the regular guitar sound. So that was the idea. And like most of the time, I put myself in a hard situation where I have to reanalyze the instrument. I have
yeah,
to rethink because I didn't want to just have the seven string just like a bass string.
yeah,
I wanted to
exactly.
be able to play some chords with it, include that seven string just like any other string. So it took me a moment to readjust, and I still working on it. But now I get to the point where I feel like when I go back to my six strings, I always feel like something is missing.
Yeah, shit,
But
yeah, sure, yeah,
it's a good process. I'm happy I did it because it kind of extend a little bit my range and language also.
definitely, yeah. No, it's beautiful how you do it. Because I also wanted to ask you about how you. I mean, even before, let's say in a trance, or I mean, you looped things, but here in this last case, it's basically all live, right? And
It's live with
yeah,
some delays and stuff like
yeah.
that.
But how do you approach, let's say, a record like the last one, or any solo guitar arrangement? What was your process here when choosing the songs and Herbie's compositions, and how do you make an arrangement of, let's say, we're talking about Cantaloupe Island, which has been played and heard 6 billion times, but you
Yeah,
made it make it sound original, and or
thank
how was your
you.
approach here?
Oh, that's a very good question. I mean, at the beginning, like we all know those songs, those tunes are classics. Everybody
Yeah,
we heard them many times. I played them many times
yeah,
with the composer. So I wanted to. My first feeling was to play them like I owned them, like I wrote them. You know,
oh man, yeah,
that was the state of mind. And so it wasn't easy in a way that, I mean, I heard those tunes so many times, so I have to disconnect from the original versions and all the time we've been playing and think of think them fresh in a way that what I would do, if
Mm.
somebody asks me, okay, Herbie asked me to do an arrangement, what I would do on this tune, what would be my first thing? And that kind of helped me to select the tunes. Some of the tunes I didn't put there because I didn't have any idea really
Mm.
clear about, if I'm gonna go close to the original, then
Yeah.
I don't bother, So on the CD, those are the ones that I thought that, okay, I have an idea, maybe I can take this to a different direction. And the challenge is or was how I take them outside of the box
Yeah.
and make them personal, without, I mean, that to the point people can still recognize the tune,
Yeah, definitely.
but very different from the original, that was the challenge, basically.
Yeah, I love it that you took, like, okay, actual proof and Rocket. I love Rocket because,
Yeah,
it's like, this is like Herbie, maybe non-jazzy
exactly.
stuff. And you were like,
Exactly.
oh yeah, fuck that. I'm going to do that. And I love that, it's so cool.
Yeah, I try to really first of all, Rocket that I play, even if I add some delay effects on it,
Yeah.
I play on acoustic. Rocket, we all know, is electronic stuff, and you know, and the challenge for that tune for me still actually when I play at the gig, still a challenge for me is, that's one of the tune I have to really work on. The rest it happens pretty much in the studio. I didn't have any prepared, but that one I did work a lot on it because I wanted to have the bass line and the melody at the same time. So
Yeah,
that one took me a minute to to put together. It's still kicking my butt actually when I have to play live.
Did you play these things like already live, or will you, like solo?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I've been touring. Even what I was playing solo 2 days ago. I came back yesterday. Yeah. Still touring a little bit.
Oh
Not
man,
too
I have
long,
to,
but
I have
few
to catch
gigs.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, and when you're doing the solo arrangements, I listen to you and you said, yeah, you want a separate bass line. You do something with the melody. You play chords in between. Then you kind of do the rhythmic thing, which is another layer in between. And then you do the vocalizations also.
Yeah.
And in general, how do you divide your brain, to do that? Because, many times we have problems, guitarists, like, you play something here and play 5 over something already, it's heavy, but
Right.
you add the vocal stuff and everything. How was your approach from the beginning here?
Well, that's something I've been developing over the years, the kind of clicking sound. I mean, originally it came from a language in South Africa called the Xhosa. I don't speak that language, obviously, but I use the element because I grew up listening to Miriam Makeba, and I used to make fun of her. Like, remember my parents playing her her vinyl, and I would be like, "What is that? That lady?" So I used to make fun of her, But one day I started doing it on stage. It just came out, and Frank and Massimo, guys in my band, asked me, "What was that?" I said, "What?" I had no idea, so I had to listen back and say, "Oh, that's used to be." I used to make fun of, and that became something that I've been doing for a while now. That's growing. It's growing, and for me, it's I approach it really like a rhythmical idea that completes what I'm doing. So it's my own. It's a challenge that that I have to face, and that I love to be in that zone where I'm singing one rhythm, I'm playing something else on the guitar, and the voice is singing something plus the click, and so it's a lot of, I don't know, it's not something that I can I can explain, but it's never the same. So I don't have too much control about it. It's just it comes out the way it is, and I just let it go and see how far I can go.
But how do you practice that? I mean, like, because let's say in 4/4, okay, it kind of would be easy, you know. It's not, but okay. But then you do it in 13 and it sounds so effortless, or 17 or 11, and it's just like, man. So did you write down things like
Oh
rhythmical,
no,
how to
I have
subdivide?
no idea.
Nothing.
No,
Man,
that's my point. I have no clue. I mean,
wow,
if I have to write it down, I will, but it's never gonna be the same. So I have no. It's
Wow.
not like a pattern or something that's. No, I think because I was a percussionist earlier before I even start guitar, so I always consider myself as a frustrated percussionist. That's how I present myself. So that explains why, you know, there's a lot of percussive element in my playing, and a lot of polyrhythms. But that's the way I you know, even if I'm not singing or clicking, all those subdivisions are there when I'm playing. You know, if I start clicking, they come obviously out. But if I'm not, they're still there. I'm still hearing the superpositions. You know.
Yeah.
And this I hear any music, I hear any phrase, musical phrase or rhythm. I don't hear, you know, if I do boom, pada, boom, bitim, boom, pada, boom, bitim, for example, you know, I don't know, something like that, you know, I don't just hear, you know, somebody will be like, boom, pada, boom, 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 pada, boom, boom, pada, boom, boom. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, boom, pada, boom, boom.
Yeah.
I hear that. I hear also boom, pada, boom, boom, 1, 2.
Oh yeah.
You know, I hear also boom, pada, boom, boom, 1, like 3, 2. So I hear different layers of the same thing, any phrase. So that kind of give me a little more freedom to go to different territory while the original line is there, you know.
Man.
So the subdivision I will be doing with the click might go to the 3/2, it might go to 4/4, it might go to 6/8, it might go to 12, whatever.
Wow,
so that's the best way to explain.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I understand, but it's just like that's, you know, you must have practiced a lot of this and still do to conquer this, I guess. Or it sounds natural.
Yeah,
also
actually,
to you because,
it is.
Like you said,
to be. I mean, I've practiced more harmony and or melody on rhythm. Rhythm, I guess, is something natural that I did do a lot when I was kids. I still, I mean, don't get me wrong. You go to Benin, nobody plays in 13 or 11, or you know. So those are things that I did think and practice, but I didn't pass too much time, honestly, on rhythm compared to the rest on harmony and melody. You know.
Yeah, but speaking of rhythm, you mentioned 13, or you wrote so many Teke or Forgiveness, which are beautiful tunes. Or in 11 you wrote many, and like when you start the composition, I love your composition because you mentioned harmony and melody, and melody is always there. It's like it's singable, but it's like it's like Sting, He has, like 7 days, it's in 5.
Oh yeah.
And Vinny plays there 4/4, almost it's like 4/4, and they play it. It's like so natural. Or Love is Stronger Than Justice, 7/4, and people are like, nah,
Exactly.
And like,
I love that too.
I love that too, and this is with you the same, but you took it at my ears even step further, that you have even more complex rhythmical stuff. And I wanted to ask you, when you compose like these songs or compositions, how do you approach them usually? Like, what's your starting point for a composition, like a riff or a bass line, or?
Yeah, another good point. Usually when I compose, first of all, on my phone, I have like, I don't know, hundreds of scratch like ideas. And usually those ideas comes on the plane or anywhere, bathroom, whatever. So I always record them, and then I listen back to them when I have time. I never could. I never could be the type of composer who will write something tomorrow for a project after tomorrow. It will never be my thing. So that's why when I get inspired, I like to pass time on it. So I will go through my phone, take one idea, take my guitar, turn on the computer and just record. I just play with the same idea for, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then I listen back. And when I listen back, then that's when I start making decisions. Okay, the first idea could be a bass line, it could be a rhythm, it could be a melody. It could also be a harmonic structure or something. And based on that, I will start developing by playing over and over. And usually there's a melody that comes out. I don't compose thinking, okay, let me write this in 17, let me write this in 15. I don't do that. I just like to leave it the way it is originally. So, so whatever it is originally, that's okay. This is what it's gonna be. And that's once I play it for a while, then I start analyzing. Oh, this is 15. Oh, this is 17. Oh, this is 13. Okay, this is what it's gonna be. You know. So that's my approach to the composition. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, like when you present it, you know, I listened to the last Glifema with Massimo and Ferenc, and it's beautiful. It's nice that you guys, you know, after 12 years, did
more than 20 years actually.
Yeah, like but after 12 years, you did another album finally.
Exactly.
I was like, yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, you've been together like playing for 20 years. You met those guys at Berkeley, or?
Yeah, we met in '99.
Wow, man.
You know, it's like, yeah, more than 20 years. And then we went to the Monk Institute for 2 years, from 2001 to 2003. And then we moved to New York. That's 2001 to 3. That's where we really start developing something, because we were at the Monk, and when the classes were finished, it was just 3 of us just keep playing, you know. So we kind of developed something during that time, and we all moved to New York. And yeah,
yeah,
I love those guys because we challenge each other. It's not, of course, we know each other, and you know, by playing together for so long, we develop something.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we challenge each other all the time, which is what keep the music fresh. So there's no comfort zone, because you never know what they're gonna do. They never know what I'm gonna do. So we always push it.
It's good, yeah.
But we always find our way out if somebody gets, you know, lost, which happens.
Yeah.
But you know, we have a way to get out. So people in general they won't even feel it, because we fix the problem quickly, you know.
Oh, sure. It's like, no one knows that, you know. It's like mistakes, kind of. But,
you know.
How is the work process with you guys usually? Like, let's say you bring the tunes, because all 3 of you write in a way, right?
Yeah. So it was different at the beginning. The last one completely different. Usually we, you know, we used to go to Massimo's place when he was in Brooklyn, and we were all living in Brooklyn. So I will, like I was saying, you know, on my way to Massimo, a tune like Teme, boom, boom. Yeah. That's something I sang on my phone in a bus going to Massimo. So I get there, I was like, guys, check this out. Let's try this, you know, boom, 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 boom. And we just, what is this? And we count, oh, this is 13, and we just play. So that used to be the process, you know. The last project, we decided to do something different, because we want to keep the freshness of the music. And plus, you know, I was already on this side, and you know, we were not together like we used to. So we just said, okay, let's just write music for this project. And I flew to New York. We rehearsed at Massimo's place the day before the recording, the first time. So the music was very fresh. We didn't want to think about an arrangement. We just want to lay down stuff as we hear them first time.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, you can see that you guys are so together, and Ferenc and Massimo rhythmically are so strong. I saw Ferenc like 2 years ago with Jaffer Youssef.
Oh, Jaffer.
Yeah, man. And that's like that's like 31 or whatever, those rhythmical structures, and Ferenc is just like flying over that. Like,
yeah.
So beautiful.
Absolutely.
But I wanted to ask you, Lionel, like about, you mentioned the Thelonious Monk Institute, and going back already to Berkeley with those guys. How was it this initial US experience for you when jazz-wise, when you moved to the States?
It was great. I mean, it was, I came from Paris, and I get in the States. I mean, the musicians, the level was, first of all, I was in a bigger school. So, Paris, I mean, usually in music school, there's always jazz program, there's always more guitar players than anything. But I get to Berkeley. Berkeley was like half of the school was guitar players, basically. I mean, it was crazy, So it was a good environment to be in, and all different style and players and people from every, Lagerland was there, different people, John Mayer. I mean, all different style players, So it was, for me, it was perfect situation to be in, and I remember going to a Starbucks, to get a coffee and hearing Coltrane, and it wasn't even early Coltrane. It was late Coltrane at the Starbucks, and everybody just walk in the Starbucks, get their coffee and get out. Nobody really cared, and I was like, damn. I mean, you will be playing that music, I don't know, in Benin, people will be like, can you turn this thing off?
Sure, same here, man.
I said, what is that? And then you realize this is part of the culture. It's like, I always compare this, if you live next to the ocean and every time you walk out, the ocean is right there, you see it every day, you grow up with it. It's not a big deal for you, It's a big deal for somebody who came from Hungary or, so it's the same. I felt like, wow, check this out, And the American musician had a way of, they have the gospel, they have a lot of traditional stuff that it was perfect for me to be around. And I had a language problem back then. I couldn't speak a word in English. So I thought, okay, maybe if I take English classes, this will help. And they totally make sense. It's all connected, So it was one of the greatest experiences in my life.
Yeah, can believe that. And how was then when coming to New York? I think the first record I heard you was Bounce.
That's right. That was the first one. Yeah,
that's where I saw your name, and I was, Eric's on drums there, and Aaron and all those guys.
Exactly.
It's such a record, and I wanted to ask you, how did you get in touch with Terence, and how was he because he's one of those guys who continues also this heritage of kind of inviting younger musicians. Like, how was that for you? Like this Terence experience?
Yeah, Terence for me is an unbelievable teacher and a visionary. Like for me, he's like Miles. How Miles, found Herbie, Wayne, Tony, Ron. That's the way I see him, because he has such a big ears. He can hear personality through young musicians, and he still do the same thing, So how did I meet? I met him through the audition at the Monk Institute. He was one of the judge, Herbie, Wayne, him. So we had to play in front of them, So that's how I met Terence, and he was also the musical director of the program. So after a year, I still was in school. So when we recorded Bounce in New York, and I was in LA at the Monk Institute when we recorded Bounce. So I still was in school. I was going to do few gigs with him, mostly in the weekend when I didn't have classes. So he already took me under him in his band when I was a student. So when I finished the Monk Institute, I moved to New York, and then I learned so much.
How was their first gigs with him? You remember?
I was nervous as hell. I remember that I think it was in Seattle. Aaron's from Seattle. I remember it was in Seattle or San Francisco, one of those. And I remember that's the whole band was there. Aaron and Eric Holland, Bryce Winston on saxophone, and say okay, they send me the music. I work on the music, and they start playing. We went to the sound check, and I tried to find my space. But man, the music was so happening because it came from the music program and the students, and this is another level. So it was good for me to be in a group where the level was so high that I was nervous. I did the best I could, and slowly, I started understanding how how to interplay in the best way. The listening, because Terence is a master of listening. He would be like, I remember in the school program, he would be like, he would be with us at the Monk Institute. He would be like, why did you play that? Can you explain? And he was right, because it's like, okay, you play this thing, but it's not related to what's happening at this moment. He was the first person to catch my attention, or catch all of our attention to those kind of things, because in the music program, nobody talks about those things, which are so important, the listening and the interaction. Just you play something, if you can explain what you just played, then yes. If you have no clue, then it means you're just throwing garbage on the plate, So it was great.
Yeah, it's when I check your discography or the records I have you on, it's amazing because you have 2, 3, like when you moved kind of to New York, Terence, and then immediately the story with Herbie begins, I guess. And can you explain to me, because I checked the bands, of course, with Herbie. Then you have Vinnie Colaiuta, Dave Holland, and you and Wayne Shorter on, I think, the second record, the Johnny Letters, and
the
Possibilities also is. How was that experience like for you, meeting?
It was great.
The first time playing with Herbie,
Oh yeah, I was nervous too. I was nervous too, but he was so cool. He put me in a very comfortable zone, and tell me like I'm there to do whatever I want. So it was but I was nervous. Of course, I was nervous, and then he told me, I think when we're recording Possibilities, to do an arrangement for Sting on Sister Moon, and I remember I was, I think I was in Brooklyn, and he called me and he said, man, can you do this arrangement? Oh yeah. Can you send me, I think it was Thursday or Friday. He said, yeah, can I have it for Saturday? Sure. So he said, oh yeah, you just do your thing, what you do, just make I think it's gonna be great. Well, I was telling myself pressure is on. And I never met Sting, so I was like, oh, I don't know, maybe Sting will like it, maybe he will hate it. And I did this arrangement with, like minor 7 flat 6 and modulation and all the, and I set up this bass line. Boom, 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 boom. So I was like, okay, this is gonna be cool. And I was nervous, so we get in studio in Toronto, and you know, I think it was John Patitucci who was on drum. Amazing drummer. Play with John Mayer. I forgot.
Oh, Steve Jordan. No, it's
Steve Jordan.
Steve Jordan.
Steve
yeah,
Jordan.
yeah.
Thank you. Steve Jordan was on drums. You know, I mean the whole band.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And you know, and they try to play that bass line. It took a minute to just get that line correctly, and then Sting walked in, and he listened to the arrangement, and he said, "I like it," you know. And then there's a modulation there, you know, and he managed. He did it, you know. And I was like, because I was so nervous. I mean, I didn't know Sting. He could be like, "Man,
sure.
this is,"
sure.
You know. He could be like, "No, let's do my original thing," you know. So he was so into it. He loves it. He was like, "Yes, let's," you know. I like that. You know, it's one of those moments you feel like, "Oh man,
Yeah, really."
Exactly, this thing is supporting. I was like, "Oh, okay, good. I'm glad I had only one tune to arrange." Because so yeah, well, it's been, and then from there, you know, I met Sting, had a good connection with Sting, helped me for a lot of things.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean,
amazing.
One thing to another.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you like about touring with Herbie. You know, because let's say me, you know, we do these tours that are like 2 weeks. And you know, tours that you play, I don't know, Germany, Austria, Belgium, whatever, Europe, like, you know, this normal jazz tours, like in improvised music for 100 or 80 people. And playing with Herbie, it's a completely musically and organizationally and everything a different level. And how was that experience like for you in the beginning?
It was great. It was, I mean, it was scary at the beginning, then it was great. And just to be in a big professional, organization. So, you know, I mean, at that point, I was playing like, you know, still do go on the road with the trio, you know, don't have a road manager, you have to deal, you know, you know how it is with the regular, you know, show up at the airport, nobody is there to pick you up.
Exactly.
I'll say, "Oh man, yeah, jump in a cab, I'll pay you," and then what's that? The song, you know. So I'm in a situation where I don't have to deal with any of that. All I'm dealing with is just music, you know. It's like I even have somebody helping me to set up my gear. It's like basically I can just, and that's what I do often, actually finish the gig and then, you know, ask for my guitar in the dressing room or, you know, back to the hotel, whatever. I don't have to go back and pack anything. I don't mind because I still do. But my point is getting that situation where you don't have to deal with any other thing.
Just music. Yeah.
There's a road manager. There's somebody tell you what time you leave, what time everything is. So it's it was the first, like, at that level experience I had in my life, and just had to focus on music. And I still enjoy, you know. It's like take a pressure from being a leader, because when you're a leader, you have to deal with a lot of things that I don't mind. But, you know, be a sideman for somebody like Herbie, like I always tell my management, I want to do this forever. I mean, I don't want this to, I'm not in a rush for my own project of my career about whatever, you know. This is learning from the source. You know, for me there's nothing I can compare to it. So, and then I get paid to do it. So, you know, so it's a luxury, absolutely. Yeah.
But you being a band leader, when did you decide, you know, like, I mean, I know you did In a Trance, which is like a solo record, but then you did Virgin Forest, which is kind of more band involved thing.
Right.
When did you decide, like, okay, I want to become now a band leader. And did Herbie and Terence and those guys encourage you to do that, or how was that story?
Oh, they helped me a lot. Being around them actually helped me still, you know, in terms of. But how did I become a band leader? Because I get signed on Blue Note, and you know, when you're on Blue Note, you need the management.
Yeah, okay.
you need the you know the agents, you know, all those. So that kind of, you know, when you start paying for manager and agent, then that's it, you know, kind of. And I'm glad I did. At the beginning, I was like, man, I'm not used to that. You know, somebody gonna get my money, get this, and
you
know, get this % from, you know. But then I realized like this is not. I know who I am. I'm not the type of person who will be on the phone. That's not my thing. So it was perfect situation to have somebody take care of that. Then I just focus on the music, you know. Yeah.
But were you comfortable already in the beginning? Like if we say, you know, Virgin Forest, I mean, you have, Ferenc and Gretchen Parlato and all those guys you know it, but then you have also like Cyro, Baptista there, and Herbie, like, and so in a reverse role, kind of Herbie doing a rare sideman appearance, or what? How did that work out for you?
Man,
like
it was great.
Comfortable.
I mean, it was good, but at the same time, you know, for the recording, I mean, it was interesting to have first CD on Blue Note and have a sideman, Herbie and Wayne on sideman, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that form, you know, and here's the thing, I didn't know. I didn't know. After the recording, you know, in the discussion, then I realized that there haven't been a sideman before that for 30 years. So there haven't been sideman for anybody for 30 years. So I was like, oh, if I knew it, I wouldn't even bother calling, you know, because I would be like, you know, no. And I was so happy that they did it. And actually they kind of give me advice and protect me. You know, with Blue Notes saying, okay, we want to do it, but you have to give him his right. You know, they hold me like, I mean, like their song. I mean, they really helped me out, you know, and that's priceless. And those are the things that as a new leader, I learned, you know, like, okay, you know, you have to do this way, you have to. So every time I had a question, I just ask Herbie, you know, give me some advice, you know, because they have not only the greatest musician, but they have experience, you know.
Did you ever talk about Wayne or Herbie, like especially with Herbie, since you toured with him so much, about music and composition and like developing lines or harmony? Or he was open to that, or
Herbie's. I mean, Herbie, you know, you can ask James Genius or anybody, Vinny, Terrace, Martin. I mean, Herbie, he's the type of person we give anything you ask. You know, he's playing. We do that all the time. At the sound check, he's playing. He's like, man, what's that? Oh, this, you know, he show you, he slow down, show you the voicing, you know, explain. There's no string attached. I think what makes him so unique and so powerful is that he's so humble and so giving. You know, he's not like hiding or holding or this. No, just give you. Oh, you ask for it, he's gonna explain to you. There's no, you know. Now the magic is exactly, but his magic is not. It's beyond that. So even if he give you, those are the tools, right? That's we all need. But the way he plays it, that's a whole different other thing. So you might have the same note, you might have the same thing, but it's never gonna sound the same, right? Like Wayne or, you know.
Yeah.
So those guys, they really into giving, you know, which is I think it's a good way for next generation to pass the message, you know.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, when I saw you guys in Vienna years ago, and I mean, there's so many YouTube footage also. You know, I watched many videos, and it's interesting. Like I talked to Paul McCandless, you know, the horn player from Oregon.
Yeah.
And he toured with Bella Fleck and the Flecktones, and he said in some songs he always had a solo after Victor Wooten, and you know, Wooten played like everything, the most virtuosic stuff, and then Paul was like, "Who's like virtuoso on soprano?" He was like, "Okay, what do I do now?" You know. And I wanted to ask you this, like soloing. When I see footage or video of soloing after Chris or Herbie, or whoever in those groups you play with, what's your angle usually? Because many times I get the idea you're just like, okay, Herbie does his thing, and then you just like, okay, shit, I'm gonna go there now. Like,
man, you are so 100% right, man. You nail it. That's exactly what you know, that's my state of mind. Because if it goes to one direction, I take the other direction. I mean, it happens so many times. Almost every time, you know. After Herbie, you know what? I mean, it's like I put my hand in my pocket. I'm like, it's empty. I have nothing to, you know. I mean, it's like he covered so much harmonically, rhythmically. I mean, you name it. It's like, okay. Many times I will be like, you know, I'm okay. Not tonight. I don't have anything, you know. I pass by or I play the melody or whatever. I just like, you know. And most of the time he's like, no, you know, because he's encouraging me to, man, you know. And that's what he does. So after all, I was like, okay, yeah, he's right. I just gonna, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna go to, if he plays like a lot of notes, I'm just gonna play less note and take it a whole different direction.
Yeah.
Because it's not a competition. There wouldn't be any competition anyway. So I have to find a different angle to tell my story. Otherwise, if like it's the third solo, and you know, like you say, like Chris take this direction and Herbie take this direction, and I have to play, then I just stay in the middle, you know. So I have to always, and I like that challenge to find a direction that hasn't been, and usually it's hard to find because most of the directions are covered, you know.
Yeah.
But you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. I love that about that band. I mean, also about you, you know, I watched you with Aziza also in Udine, 3 years ago. I think it was
Udine,
3.
Yeah. That's where I recorded the solo, actually, Udine.
Oh, really? In Stefano Merios, or?
Exactly.
Oh, really? I know I know Stefano in the studio and everything. Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. That's where I recorded the solo. You know.
Oh, man. Next time we go for a beer or something. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's quite close. I mean, I saw you guys with Aziza there. And also, you know, when you play with Dave and Chris and Eric, who are like incredible personalities, and you as well, then there, you also have such a unique voice, and you always make this other thing, which I really love about your playing, and you're adding to any group, you know, because it's just like this fresh herb you put in a soup, and it's like, man, okay.
Oh, thank you. That's right.
And I wanted to ask you, how did Aziza happen, by the way? This was like under Dave's idea, or?
No. Well, this was, I think it's an idea of Dave, Chris. I think it happens so natural that we all played in a different configurations, you know.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe the ideas really comes after we did the tour with Herbie, because it was Dave, Chris, and myself. And I did a lot of stuff with Eric before, not with Dave. So we kind of, it was a natural direction to take for the quartet, you know, to find and I mean, unfortunately, because of the pandemic, because we were planning to record a second.
Oh, really?
Maybe a live recording.
Beautiful.
So, but we do have a gig, I think, coming in the fall in the state. So, I mean,
it's still alive, this project, right?
It's still I mean, it's been so much fun, and you know, music, as you heard, can go to any direction, and everybody is open-minded and so musical. It's like, yeah, it's great to be next to any of those guys. It's always a learning experience.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I just wanted to ask you two more things, Lionel, just
Mm-hmm.
not to take too much of your time. But like,
Oh no, no worries.
it's just you've played with so many musicians, done so much of your own music, but you and I also have you on two records by Chick and Gonzalo.
Yeah.
So talking about pianists, like you know, you play with Herbie. I mean, Chick, okay, Aaron Parks and many other musicians, but like. How's the experience with Chick Corea like compared to Herbie? Because I know those guys played so much together also. Like, how was that compared to Herbie?
It was, I mean, it's different, you know, and that's the way it's supposed to be, but also similar in a way of the way they approach the improvisation. There's no string, they just go for it, you know. It's like those guys have so much power on them and what they do that they don't take anything for granted. They just play at 100, even more percent of their capacity at that moment. And it goes from Herbie to Chick, you know. Now, the difference might be in terms of composition, in terms of orchestration, because Chick, you know, the way we all know his music is clear, at least the head in and head out. He has a clear vision and structure in his mind that on the road we pass more time rehearsing on those details. Of course, Chick's composition has a lot of notes, and you know it needs to be ready. So I would say that's the difference, because Herbie's composition, you know, we play actual proof. I don't know how many times. It's different every time. I'm talking about the heads in and out. There's no, you know, maybe today we play the head in a whole different way. But with Chick, the heads and are always clear, and but because it's the style of writing. But the improvisation goes the same way, you know, completely.
Interesting. What about in terms of band leading? Like you played with both those guys, like.
Yeah, it's also, I mean, they give different space for playing. Everybody has space to play, you know. In terms of band leaders, I mean, they always same thing, you know. Chick is always sharing as well. Just like they're always giving. There's a lot of stories, you know. Those guys, I mean,
Did you ever ask them? Like, everybody. Did you ever ask those guys, like, how was it? I don't know, with Miles, or did they share stories?
I mean, I know so many stories from Herbie, from Chick,
that's so beautiful, man.
From any of those guys, from Dave, I mean, because you hear from the source, you know, and it makes you feel like you were there, you know. It's amazing, and you know, this is beyond the notes or, you know, stuff we study, because it's like I always feel like it's big part of what we do. It's like to complete the study, you need to hear those kind of stories, you know, not just in a book, but from the cats themselves, you know. So
I agree.
That for me is, you know, you in a tour bus for, I don't know, 17 hours, you hear some stories, you know, everybody's discussing, asking questions, you know. I was in a situation one day in a backstage, I never forget this. In the States, we were touring in the same room with, check this out, this is crazy. It was Kenny Garrett. It was, Wayne was there. Herbie, of course. Marcus Miller.
Oh man.
Who else was there? I mean, all the guys who play with Miles in the same room. And I was the one who never played with him, and they telling the story. I mean, I was just like this, this one will be like, yeah, he does that. But you gotta say this is two different generations,
Yeah,
So, but it gets to the point where they all agree on one thing, they're like, yeah, he always does that, So, and I'm just sitting there listening. Oh man, it was almost like Miles was in the room,
That's
It was so powerful, and things like that. It doesn't happen every day, and I'm very lucky to have chance to to learn from the source with those different generations.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm learning from my generation, Glasper, and then the generation above, and then this generation. So I'm I always, often tell myself, or think myself, say that, I'm a lucky motherfucker for sure.
Yeah.
to be around and learning straight from those guys.
That's you finished like 60 universities with touring and playing with those guys. I think that's yeah. That's why I do these interviews. I love this just because to hear being a musician. I love hearing this stuff because it inspires you. I think I'll go practice after this talk. So
me too, man. That's what I was doing before. I was like, it's inspiring, and to have, to be fearless. This is the other thing I learned. It's like, don't worry about a thing. Just go for it. I mean, you have what you have to lose at the end.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like you make a mistake. Everybody makes a mistake. Nobody is perfect. Actually, those are one of the things I learned from Herbie and Terrence. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's
make
so
that
heavy.
mistake.
Yeah.
Just make that mistake. It's by making mistake you discover, and they're so right. If you play safe, maybe you please yourself because you know exactly what's going to happen, but you do that over and over.
Yeah.
You're not discovering anything, but you put yourself in a situation where you push your limit, you leave your comfort zone. It might not be pleasant.
That's
probably won't be pleasant because you don't know what's going to happen, but at least you try something, and at the end of the tunnel, something stay with you. Either what you did wasn't good, it's okay, or you discover something, you're like, wow, this can be a new territory to explore. That's what I like about
to push it. Yeah. And many times I'm like, not many times, but often sometimes. Okay, you play a gig or an improv, and I go into a zone, and I'm like, man, I'm again there. I'm stuck again. Get out! Come on, it's I'm so annoyed. It's like really, oh shit, I'm again playing that lick or that phrase or whatever, going into that vibe. So that's so important what you said.
Yeah, I think we all do, and we all at some point it becomes like our language because everybody has their own, which is cool. The thing is how you break from your own language, which is for me the challenge, because it's easy to be in your thing and live there,
safe zone. Yeah, we need
exactly.
Safe zone. Yeah, cool.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, man.
Thank
what
you.
What do you have behind you, bro? Pleasure. What is that? The small one.
Oh, it's a mandolin.
Mandolin. Wow, nice.
And this one is like it's a Zaletel. You know Zaletel guitars, Slovenian.
Yeah, I have one.
Really?
I have. Yeah. I have a 7-string. I love. That's actually because I'm going to Slovakia in 2 days. I think that's what I know. I know he's from Slovenia, right?
Yeah. I mean, this one was built by his father, actually. This one that I have.
Oh.
Yeah, and you have this one by Luca, right? No, Luca.
Yeah. This.
Yeah.
I thought
that's
beautiful. I thought it was. Yeah, it's great. I'm happy about this one. So that's Luca's father.
Yeah, it's a really nice one. It's like 20, really nice body here, like 23 years old, like beautiful guitar.
Wow.
Beautiful sounding,
nice.
really. and it's getting better and better. Like
Right.
his father said, like, you know, when I bought it, like he made it custom for me like 23 years ago. He was like, yeah, man, it's good, but the wood is still a little bit fresh and it's gonna get better for 3 years. And I was like, yeah, okay. And now it's getting better and better. Like every day, I just play this guitar at home acoustic. My electric is there. Like
Yeah.
I'm just noodling on this. I love that. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah,
Nice.
I love guitars, as you can tell. You know, I think they're all different, and
yeah, different.
Those are my babies. You know, they speak to me.
Yeah.
Dr. Jazz.